Yeah, my full name is Raj Babu Narasimhalu. People call me Raj, and as Raz introduced, I'm field service and project operations consultant. I've been in the field service industry for, I don't know, maybe for more than 15 years. Been with other products prior to Dynamics 365. And through that, I've implemented several mid to large, very large size field service automation projects worldwide in telecom industry, consumer electronics industry, and manufacturing and services, HVAC, and also some of the project service organization verticals. Of late, recently, I had an opportunity to implement project operations, which is a brand new offering from Microsoft. So with one of the client here in New York City with about 125 project resources, implemented project operations in the both with the PSA and the finance and operations integrated in with the dual write capability, all the out of the box feature that comes with project operations. And there's been a lot of learning experience, and it was a very successful go live. And happy to say that the client is using for about 5 months now since we went live on project operations. I know it's pretty brand new offering, so that's why I'm pretty psyched and very excited to share that piece of information. So I'm an independent consultant. I'm helping end clients here in the United States, in Northeast, specifically in New York City, and also helping a couple of Microsoft partners, on the field service and project operations area. Okay, so the topic I want to speak today is the field service sales processes. So, anyone you ask what a field service is, everyone will say, oh, field service is all about technicians, resources, and customers, and scheduling, and Azure IoT, and things like that. Of course, that's a major part of field service. But there is a front-end part of field service, right? So how a field service agreement is sold, how a field service work order, a quick reactive work order is sold to a customer. A brand new customer comes in and they're requesting, for some help to repair their AC or some other unit that they're using. And what is the sales process, right? How are you going to capture them as a lead, and how are you going to give them a quotation, and then finally convert them into either a contract or a work order. So that's what I'm going to talk about. So primarily, this sales process will be very helpful in the preventative maintenance agreement. So the reason is, so many customers in manufacturing and other verticals, like for example in a restaurant using 4 or 5 HVAC machines or rooftop units, right? So they want to make sure that it's running consistently, and making sure that they want to do all the preventive maintenance taken care. So when they typically approach a HVAC mechanical company, and they usually take that as a lead and give them a quotation, and customer negotiates and accepts the quotation, and finally that gets converted into an agreement or a contract. Now there's a lot of information captured up front in the sales process. So we're going to see in this demo today how those information that's captured in the front end, it's used to create those agreement, and in future, when this agreement is effective, and how the agreement spins off the work order, and finally how it gets scheduled to the technician. So we're going to be focusing more on the front end sales cycle today. So just a little bit of introduction. What is a preventative maintenance? So it is typically a service work that is performed periodically to an equipment or asset that's running to reduce the likelihood of failure or to extend the useful life of assets. Some of the examples I've given, it's like we do oil change for our own car, right? So commercial buildings with a huge HVAC unit they needed to be periodically come and checked, making sure, that there's no worn components or any lubricant or coolant that needs to be installed or filled, or if there's any oil leak or anything, any worn out parts. So things like that needs to be checked, especially before the set of the season, the winter season. Check all the heating unit parts, and before summer starts or spring starts, check all the cooling unit parts start. So that's just an example with the HVAC unit. I'm sure there are a lot of other applications, for example, in the medical equipment industry, right? All the devices that's there in an ICU unit, they needed to be periodically checked to make sure that it's running in a top condition so that it won't break when it is attached with the patient or something like that. So for that purpose, customers usually enter into an annual contract. So the servicing company will visit customers typically, on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis, or maybe some of them could be on a yearly basis. So it depends on the type of the equipment or type of the customer asset. Okay, so that's a quick preview of what the preventive maintenance is all about. Let's get into the demo. And before I go to the demo, let me quickly walk you through what I'm going to be showing you in the demo in terms of the sales processes here. As many of you have exposure to customer engagement, you all know about the standard sales process: lead, opportunity, quote, and then quote converts to work order. So what is the difference with the field service sales process? So it follows the same process at the beginning. So when a customer calls in, we create the lead, and when a lead is qualified, we create a service maintenance opportunity. Okay, so there are three different types of opportunity, the three different types of quotes that we can create. I will show you, what are the three different types. One of them is the service maintenance type opportunity and quote. So we create the opportunity, and then we convert lead, qualify to create an opportunity, and then add quote into the opportunity. So in the quote, we can add what products we wanted to deliver or what products we wanted to replace during that service visit, right? So what are the services that we're going to perform during that service visit, and how many times are we going to make a visit to that customer and as part of that service? So all those information are captured during the quote process. So as you could see here, we could add as many quote lines as possible. If it's a larger site, if they have many number of equipments, then it's going to be a huge quote and all those. So finally, we send the quote to the customer. The quote is one. So by that action, we'll be creating a sale order. So from that sale order, system automatically creates a PM agreement, with all the booking information that, the number of visits that we wanted to make to the customer, it automatically creates work order and booking information. Okay, so this is what we're going to see in the demo. So let me switch to the application. All right, so I'm here in the lead. By the way, I created this trial instance. There is a new partner experience, for some of you who are Microsoft partner here. So there's very easy trial environment creation experience. So I just created a couple of days ago, and it came in with all these sample data, without me manually going through creating the new environment and installing the applications and things like that. So it was a fairly easy process. Just wanted to make a call out here, and really appreciate that work from Microsoft, and it was pretty nice. Made our life easy. All right. So I'm going to create a new lead. So let's assume that there is a restaurant in my neighborhood, tasty place. They're calling me to service their HVAC equipment. Okay. So the topic is, so they need a PM preventive maintenance visit for HVAC unit. So I was mentioning about three types of lead, three types of code or opportunities. So as you can see here, the three types are work-based, item-based, and service maintenance-based. Work-based are typically used in a project PSA, project operations scenario, when you're creating a code for the project. Item-based is our typical sales process. We're selling some products and services. So we use item-based. So we're going to be using service maintenance-based because this is the one, has a flow to create. Once we win the code, it automatically creates the agreement and work order that's required for the field service. So we're going to create this lead as a service maintenance base. Okay. So we had Jane Doe called in. And the company name is Tasty Place. And they are here somewhere in New York City. Okay, so it also quickly plotted me where it is. Once I type in the exact address, it'll show me where they're located. So I created a lead, when they called in. So now I'm sitting in the front office. I attended this phone call and captured this information. Now the salesperson in my office looks at it and he calls Tasty Place. Apparently, I would have captured all the phone number and etc. So they called Tasty Place and they asked a few more questions and verified that it's a genuine lead, and they wanted to work on a quotation to submit. Okay. So they qualify the lead. So by process of qualifying the lead, as you know, it gets converted into an opportunity. And in the process of converting the opportunity, let's assume that Tasty Place is a new customer. So it automatically creates a new customer account and Jane Doe as the contact behind the scenes. If it is an existing customer, then at the time of converting into opportunity, it'll give me a pop-up saying, customer already exists. Do you want to use the existing customer? So thereby we don't need to create a new one. All right, here you go. So here we are with the opportunity that's created and got the stakeholder automatically filled in. And so here in the opportunity line, as you can see, there are the multiple groups here. So I'm going to be creating a new service-based line here. Okay, so they need preventive maintenance for HVAC. Okay, so the tentative start date for them could be July 1st, and this is going to be an annual agreement. So I'm going to be ending with 22, June 30, 22. There's a little glitch here, but once I save it, it automatically converts the duration to 365. So it fills in the Tasty Place as my service account. There's a price list that I already have in the system, and I picked up the price list. And I estimate that to be an approximately $1,000 for this opportunity. Again, this is just the estimated value, and in the quoting process, we'll be arriving at the exact figure what we want to quote based on what based on the services they wanted. Okay, so I saved. I'm going to save and close this. So I got this opportunity with the opportunity line filled in. So my next step is adding a quote to this opportunity. Okay, so I'm going to create a new quote. I mean, a typical scenario, this will happen over a period of time. So people call in probably same day, they respond, or maybe take a couple of days to respond and qualify them to be an opportunity. And then, it gets passed into another person who can work on the code for the requirements, gets collected during the qualification process. And, person who works on the code, or maybe a same person, like, sits on another day to create the code. So there's going to be some time delay between every single process in real scenario. Okay, so in the code, so as you could see, it already copied all the information from the opportunity that we created. And then, the price list is not filled in. I'm going to choose the price list here, save. In the code line, as you could see, it automatically filled in the line that I created in the opportunity. Now, this is where it differs from the regular sales process and the field service sales process. Okay. So in the quote line, what I could do is, there's a section called the quote booking setup. Okay, so here in the quote booking setup, so I'm going to add what services that we need to customer, ask for, right? So PM HVAC, and then the work order type, fill in with the preventative maintenance. I also check the flag auto generate work order. So what this does is, once this is one, and once the order is created, once the agreement is created, and when the time comes, it'll automatically create the work order to be scheduled to technician. Okay, so in the products and services, so obviously when I'm going for a preventative maintenance for a HVAC unit, I definitely wanted to replace an air filter. So this is something I already preset, added this as a product in my list. So I know with the unit cost of $25. So I'm going to be changing the air filter, one quantity, and I'm going to be pricing this for about $45. Okay. This is just an example, but in the real life, depending on what they went and what they studied from the system, from the client place, and there could be probably like ton of products that they wanted to replace, change when they make the visit. And on the services side, so I created a HVAC PM service. So this is going to require an hour. So I already pre-priced this with the cost price of $500 and the unit price of $900, sale price of $900 for this. So I'm going to save this. Okay. So in the quote, I've added, both the tangible products that is in my inventory to replace, and what kind of services that I perform, and the price of that services. Okay. So I'm going to save and close this, and save and close this one. Okay, I'm trying to see the amount reflected. Okay, so that's $925. So let's assume okay, so that added up $1,000 here. Oh, one thing I forgot to do is on the quote setup where I added the product and services. Okay, here, this is a very key thing. Booking recurrence, how many times I want to go and visit the customer in a year, right? So this is really a nice feature. This is like our Outlook recurrence meeting setup based user experience here. So I wanted to repeat this on a monthly basis, and I wanted to repeat this on the first day of the month every 6 months, starting from 1st of July and to July 30th. Okay. Now I set this first of month every 6 months, and there's only 1 year, right? So probably get only one invite, one recurrence added. So what I want to do is I wanted to add an extra date so that now that they're signing up, I need someone to go and visit during the first week of July itself. So if I needed to add any custom date or any specific date, I can add a date here in addition to the recurrence pattern that I set up here. Okay. All right. So in the quote booking setup, so I added products and services, and I also added this booking recurrence here. Okay, save and close. Yeah, so now all my code is prepared. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate this code. This code looks good based on our customer requirement. And I can also print this code from the out-of-the-box template. I know it's not going to look fancy, but at least you have something available out of the box, and this can be easily customized to with the logo, customer logo, and everything. See here the code that I prepared. It's available here, and this can be sent to the customer. So customer likes it, and we wanted to close this work order, convert them into a PM agreement. So here we have an option here to create order. So customer likes it. So if customer did not like it, then we'll go through this closed code process. Either you revise the estimate or you may lost to a competitor or whatever it is. But let's go through positive scenario today. So I'm going to create this. We got this work order. I mean, customer liked it, and our status is 1. So I'm going to be creating this work order. Okay, so order is created. So order is an order entity, and the order lines are in the service-based line. Okay, so you can see there is an agreement that is created. 00504 is the agreement that is created along with the order. So this agreement is the preventative maintenance agreement. Let me open up that agreement. Okay, boom. We are in the agreement. As you can see, it is in the agreement entity. So typically, without the sales process, if people has won the agreement, so what would people do is, people come here and create the agreement. Because we went through sales process, we captured all the information, earlier in the quote process. So all those information are available here in this work order. So it captured all the customer information, price list, and start date, end date, duration, everything, and got the booking setup here created. So once I open up the booking setup, it has the product that I added, air filter, and it has the service, HVAC PM service that I added. Okay. All right. So now, yeah, agreement is created. So now what we could do is, when the time comes, usually, you fill in like 10 days before you automatically create the work order, or, whatever number of days, because these are preventative maintenance contract. These are set for usually a year or like 2 years, 3 years in a row. So if you're visiting like multiple times in a year, for example, if you're doing 6 times in a year, you can't be going and watching all the schedule and the booking date in the agreement to manually create the work order. So instead, what you do is, based on customer preference or based on the client preference. So you could say, I want this work order to be created 30 days in advance with the priority of high, medium, low, whatever. So, okay. So in this case, because we set this work order 30 days in advance and the work order is not created yet, so I'm going to be manually generating the work order. So usually system automatically creates the work order based on the setup that we just saw. If you don't see them created, for example, situation scenarios like this, a brand new agreement that we created and customer immediately wanted someone to go and visit. So you can create an immediate booking and create the work order. So the flow initiated and it automatically creates the work order. Okay, so I'm gonna go to work order. All right, so here you go. So the work order for Tasty Place is created. The beauty of this work order is, remember we added the products and services during the quote process, and it carries all the way through the work order here. So when this work order is created, it recognizes that information and it created the air filter needs to be installed, and this work order is for a HVAC preventative maintenance services. Okay. So, and then next step would be to schedule this work order. So I'll just quickly show how that works because we have enough time. I'm going to go to schedule board. All right, so the work order that we just created shows up here. I'm going to schedule this work order to myself. It's a simple drag and drop. And now I can show the products and services that we added also shows up in the technician mobile phone. Okay, so the Tasty Place that I added, it's this is the mobile app the technician usually would carry. So I see them. This work order has come to his phone at 1 o'clock scheduled. Now, when I open up this work order, so I go to work order products, I would see the air filter that needs to be changed, and work order services, HVAC PM service that needs to be performed. Intention of this session is not to demonstrate the mobile app functionality or scheduling functionality, but just to highlight that the information that we captured at the quote sales process, gets carried all the way through the creation of agreement process, and gets carried all the way through work order creation, and gets dispatched to the technician. So that was the whole point here. All right. Now, yeah, in the agreement. Back in the agreement. Now we need to invoice to the client, right? Okay, so we go through this flow. We already have the booking set up, created, and carried forward from the quote that we created. Our next step is to create an invoice setup, because we need to invoice this client, right? Our visit is 2 times a year, but invoice is PM annual. I want to invoice everything upfront. That is just one time. And sometimes if it is a huge contract, people may split up into multiple monthly installments. So in that case, like how we set up the work order recurrence, like that, we can also set up an invoice recurrence. So we can split this invoice into 12 times or 6 times or whatever it is, and the system would automatically create the invoices when the time is due. Okay. Yeah, so we can add PM service invoice and sorry. Yeah, in the backend, system will automatically create the invoice based on this setup. Okay. All right, I believe that's the whole flow. Any questions? Okay, question from.
Yeah, there is a question by Martin Green. Yes.
Yeah, if I quoted for multiple assets, would the process create multiple customer assets to be serviced and link these to one agreement? Very good question. So in the agreement, or during the quote process itself, so there is a service here. So what we could do is we could relate that particular service to customer asset. So if we have multiple service assets, then you will have multiple lines of PM service, and each related to a specific customer asset. And the same information technician would see in the field if when they open up this work order booking details, they would see which customer asset this is related to. So thereby, they can perform the appropriate services to the customer asset. Okay. Any other questions?
That's the only question.
Cool. Can you have many assets to one agreement? Yes, you can. Like I said, unfortunately, I don't have any assets created. So you would be creating line number 1. This service relates to customer asset number 1, and then line number 2 relates to customer asset number 2. Line number 3, customer asset relates to customer asset number 3. So likewise, you can build upon and relate that to multiple customer assets in one agreement. Thank you. Martin gave thumbs up. All right, that's pretty much from my side for today. So yeah, this is something people, like I said, I mean, there's a lot of traction on the other functionalities on the field service, work order, schedule board, IoT alerts, connected field service, and things like that. Technician, bookable resource, crew booking. There's a lot of whole ton of opportunity. So this is a very neat process that I really liked, and I think my objective is to showcase this so people start using sales process for any field service organization.
Thank you, Raj. I think there's one final question by Simon Harold, who's asking, it looked like you needed to re-enter the invoice details and these were not copied from the agreement. Is that correct?
Good catch. I think I messed up a little bit. There are two ways you can create the invoice. One is during the so when you win the quote, order is created, right? So when order is created, you have all this information here. You have two different places where you can create this invoice. One, you can do a create invoice here at the time when an order is created. Okay, so this creates an invoice. So as you can see, invoice is created, with the lines that we added. So we can even print this invoice with the format that is available out of the box. Of course, these templates can be customized. So as you can see, PM visit for HVAC with all the information. So this is one place where we can create the invoice, and the other place is in the agreement booking itself, where you can create the invoice frequency. Yeah, I was thinking, this would carry over. It's my bad. I did not check this thoroughly. So my assumption is that it would carry over with all the information into the invoice in the agreement itself. Maybe something that I messed up here.
Thank you there, Raj. Okay, well, fantastic. So thanks for spending today with us, sharing that information. I think there's one final question. Sorry, one final question. It's by Ali, who's asking, is the asset created automatically with a product, with the product sold?
Yes. So when you go for an installation, I'll show you what that property looked like. In the settings, products. Let's assume that this is some equipment. Yeah. So there is a flag here in the product configuration, convert to customer asset, right? So you go in there, this product is not there as part of the work order, but you're seeing something wrong, a fan belt is wrong, or maybe a fan itself is gone, it's not working, a fan blade's bent or something, so you got to change the whole fan unit, right? So you replace the fan unit and you created an asset when you are at the customer site as part of that work order. So when that property of that product is set up as yes, so which means that when you use this product, in that work order, and when you save it, it automatically creates a customer asset and attaches with the customer asset.
Thank you, Raj, for that. Okay, well, I believe that was the last question. So thanks again, Raj, for being with us today, and look forward to catching up with you in person, hopefully quite soon.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to meet you and everyone here. Yeah, it's been a long
Excellent.
time
Yes. So
now.
let's get an in-person boot camp somewhere happening sometime next year. That'll be great, and it'll be great to see you all. So thanks again, Raj. And don't forget to share your contact details in the chat window, please.
Yes.
Fantastic. That was Raj Babu to everyone. Field service project operations. I don't like to use the word expert, but if there was an expert, then Raj is obviously one of the few out there. So obviously he has very, although he likes to be humble, thank you for sharing your knowledge today. Okay, well, anyway, we're on to our last session of the day.